The Lotus 2026 represents not merely an evolutionary step, but a profound and deliberate reclamation of the company's core philosophy, executed with a level of technological sophistication and material science that was previously the domain of science fiction. This vehicle, emerging in the mid-2020s, exists at a fascinating crossroads. It is a machine deeply respectful of Colin Chapman's sacred mantra of simplify, then add lightness, yet it interprets this doctrine through the prism of 21st century hyper-performance, digital integration, and sustainable innovation. To understand this car is to understand a holistic engineering entity where every gram, every volt, and every line of code is interrogated for its contribution to the singular goal of visceral, driver-centric purity. The exterior design is the first and most visceral communication of this intent. At first glance, it is unmistakably a Lotus, bearing the genetic imprint of a mid-engine, cab-forward proportion that whispers of the Esprit and the Elise. However, the execution is ruthlessly contemporary. The silhouette is a study in aerodynamic efficiency, not through add-on wings and spoilers alone, but through a fundamentally sculpted form. The bodywork, a symphony of taut, complex surfaces, appears to have been shaped by wind itself. A pronounced dihedral nose section channels air over the low bonnet and into deeply carved channels along the flanks, which serve a dual purpose. They manage high-pressure airflow and visually lower the car's stance, creating a predatory, planted appearance. Even at a standstill, the front lighting clusters are not merely functional units, but intricate pieces of technological jewelry, employing micro-LED arrays that can project information, adapt beam patterns instantaneously, and communicate with other vehicles, all while being housed in units thinner than a smartphone. The doors, likely employing a novel lightweight composite structure, might feature a signature kinematic motion, whether dihedral, like the legendary Elise, or perhaps a simplified gull-wing or scissors action that minimizes intrusion into the cabin space while maximizing dramatic effect. The roofline sweeps back in a perfect aerodynamic arc, culminating in a flying buttress design that visually merges the cabin with the rear haunches, an area of the car that is functionally critical. The rear of the Lotus 2026 is a technical exhibition. A full-width, ultra-fine light blade houses adaptive lighting that can change intensity and pattern based on driving mode, while beneath it lies the true business in the engine cover. If housing an internal combustion component is vented with geometric precision, but the lower section is dominated by an active aerodynamic system. A multi-element, electronically controlled rear wing is integrated seamlessly, deploying only when needed to maintain a clean profile. Below it, an expansive diffuser, crafted from exposed, gloss-weaved carbon fiber, tunnels air from under the car with remarkable efficiency. The entire rear clamshell is a single, complex piece of carbon composite, reducing part count and weight dramatically. The wheels are a masterpiece of unsprung weight reduction, likely a forged magnesium or carbon fiber composite design, wrapped in bespoke, track-focused tires developed in partnership with a leading manufacturer, with a compound and tread pattern optimized for both extreme dry grip and manageable wet performance. The brake system is equally advanced, featuring carbon ceramic discs as standard, but perhaps moving towards a next-generation carbon-carbon system, or even an advanced friction material, with even greater thermal capacity and reduced weight, clamped by monoblock calipers finished in anodized aluminum, and connected by aircraft-grade braided lines, moving inward. The interior of the Lotus 2026 is where the philosophy of simplify, then add lightness finds its most radical and modern interpretation. Forget the sparse, almost utilitarian cabins of older Lotuses. This is a minimalist sanctuary, but one achieved through maximalist technology and material quality. The overarching goal is to remove all distraction and place the driver in a state of pure symbiosis with the machine. The architecture is a monocoque design, where the main structure flows seamlessly from the door sills to the central tunnel, creating an incredibly rigid and safe passenger cell. The seating is fixed-back carbon fiber bucket seats, upholstered in a blend of lightweight, sustainable technical fabrics, perhaps recycled microfiber and vegan leather alternatives, with areas of contrast stitching and Alcantara for grip. These seats are mounted directly to the chassis floor, lowering the center of gravity and providing unfiltered tactile feedback. The steering wheel is a flat-bottomed, suede-wrapped interface that is startlingly free of buttons, relying instead on capacitive touch zones and haptic feedback for secondary controls. Directly ahead of the wheel, rather than a traditional instrument binnacle, is a high-resolution, low-latency digital display that is actually projected onto a curved, transparent screen mounted close to the driver's line of sight through the wheel. This head-up display style unit shows only the essential information: a large, central tachometer, gear indicator, speed, and critical temperature and pressure readouts, all rendered in a crisp, minimalist typeface. The center console is devoid of a traditional infotainment screen. Instead, a sleek, slim touch-sensitive panel runs along its length, controlling climate and audio functions. The primary infotainment and vehicle systems are accessed through the driver's own smartphone, which docks wirelessly into a charging pad and projects its interface onto the HUD or a small, retractable screen that emerges only when the car is stationary. This approach saves significant weight, reduces complexity, and ensures the system never becomes obsolete, as the phone's hardware and software are updated independently of the car. Every surface the occupant touches has been considered for weight and tactility. The door pulls are likely woven carbon fiber straps. The air vents are 3D printed titanium structures, optimized for airflow and strength at an absolute minimum mass. Even the sound deadening is a high-tech, ultra-lightweight composite material strategically placed only to quell specific resonant frequencies, not to create a silent tomb. The result is a cabin that feels intimate, purposeful, and incredibly connected to the outside world. You hear the intake roar, the tire scrub, the subtle clicks of the transmission, all the authentic feedback that defines the driving experience. The powertrain of the Lotus 2026 is where speculation meets the hard reality of the automotive industry's trajectory. It is almost certainly a hybrid, if not a full electric vehicle. But Lotus's interpretation will prioritize driver engagement over raw, silent acceleration. One compelling possibility is a lightweight hybrid configuration. This could center on a compact, high-revving, forced induction internal combustion engine, perhaps a 2.0-liter four-cylinder or a 3.0-liter V6, turbocharged to an extreme degree and built with materials like plasma-coated cylinder liners and a carbon fiber valve cover to shave every possible gram. This engine would be mounted midship, behind the cabin but ahead of the rear axle, in a classic Lotus layout. Attached to it would be an electric motor integrated directly into the transmission, or a second E-motor on the front axle, creating an all-wheel drive capability that can be finely modulated. The battery for this system would not be a massive, floor-mounted unit, but a compact, energy-dense pack located low and central, perhaps alongside the fuel tank, to preserve the car's center of gravity and polar moment of inertia. The electric motor would serve multiple functions, providing torque fill to eliminate turbo lag, enabling silent, emissions-free urban driving, and offering a significant power boost for short periods, turning the car into a hypercar beater for bursts of acceleration. The combined power output would be staggering, likely well over 600 horsepower, but the magic would be in the delivery: instant, linear, and controllable. Alternatively, the Lotus 2026 could be a fully electric vehicle, but its approach would differ radically from heavy luxury EVs. It would employ an entirely new architecture, likely a skateboard evolved into a stress member design, where the battery pack is a structural element of the chassis itself, increasing rigidity while eliminating redundant frame parts. The motors would be ultra-lightweight axial flux units mounted on each axle, providing torque vectoring capabilities that could simulate or even enhance the feel of a traditional mechanical limited slip differential. The battery chemistry would be the latest solid-state or silicon anode technology, offering a high energy density that keeps the pack weight under 500 kilograms, a crucial figure for a Lotus. The driving range would be sufficient for spirited drives, perhaps to 150 to 300 miles, but not at the expense of weight. The sound engineering would be critical. Lotus would likely develop an artificial soundscape, not a spaceship whine, but a synthesized, emotionally resonant roar that builds with revs and load, piped into the cabin through speakers, but also through actual physical actuators that vibrate certain chassis members to provide a tactile, mechanical feedback. The transmission, whether paired with an internal combustion engine or an electric motor, would be a lightning-fast dual-clutch unit with 8 or more gears, or in the EV's case, a clever 2-speed gearbox on the rear axle to maximize both acceleration and high speed. Efficiency. The programming of this transmission would be a key differentiator, with modes ranging from a smooth, almost imperceptible shift for cruising to a brutal, jolting snap-on upshifts and aggressive rev-match downshifts in a track mode. The chassis and suspension are the soul of any Lotus, and for the 2026 model, they represent the pinnacle of adaptive technology married to pure mechanical grip. The foundation is a monocoque, but it is not merely aluminum as in the past. It is a multi-material monocoque, likely using a core of carbon fiber tub for the passenger cell with advanced aluminum alloy, subframes front and rear to which the suspension and powertrain are mounted. This combines the immense rigidity and safety of carbon fiber with the repairability and tunability of aluminum. The suspension itself is an evolution of the double wishbone setup Lotus has always favored, but constructed from forged aluminum and titanium components. With electronically controlled adaptive dampers at each corner, these dampers are not just reactive but predictive, using a suite of sensors including a front-facing camera to read the road surface ahead and adjust damping rates preemptively. The system is linked to an active rear wing and front splitter, which work in concert to manage aerodynamic load, increasing downforce in corners and on brakes while reducing drag on straights. The steering is fully electric, but Lotus's engineers would have spent countless hours tuning it to provide the organic, chatty feedback the marque is famous for. It would be incredibly direct, perhaps with a variable ratio that quickens as lock is applied. The braking system, in addition to the physical hardware, would incorporate a highly sophisticated regenerative braking system in a hybrid or EV configuration, blending friction and energy recovery so seamlessly that the driver feels only a perfectly linear and powerful pedal response, regardless of how much energy is being harvested. The technological ecosystem of the Lotus 2026 extends beyond the mechanical into the digital realm. Every car is a connected device, constantly communicating with Lotus's cloud. This enables over-the-air updates not just for the infotainment, but for the vehicle's core dynamics, engine mapping, transmission shift logic, suspension tuning, and sound synthesis. An owner could download a Sunday B-Road calibration one day and a Nürburgring attack profile the next, each transforming the car's character. The driver assistance systems are present, but deliberately unobtrusive. There is no fully autonomous mode. Instead, a suite of sensors provides a safety net, radar-guided adaptive cruise control for long journeys, a lane-keeping system that can be tuned from a gentle nudge to a firm guide, and a 360-degree camera system that is invaluable for parking the low-slung machine. The focus, however, remains on the driver being in command. The car might even feature a data logger and performance telemetry system as standard, with integrated lap timing and video recording via mounted cameras, allowing drivers to analyze and improve their technique directly from the vehicle's interface. The construction process of the Lotus 2026 would be a blend of art and science, taking place in a state-of-the-art facility where carbon fiber is laid up by automated fiber placement machines with robotic precision, then cured in massive autoclaves. The final assembly would likely involve skilled technicians in a clean, low-volume production line, with each car undergoing a meticulous shakedown and dynamic calibration on a rolling road and test track before delivery. Ownership of this Lotus is intended to be an experience. The purchasing process would be highly personalized, with an extensive configurator allowing for bespoke paint colors, interior material swatches, and even performance pack options. That might include a track-focused package with stripped-out interior, a roll cage, and slick tires. The warranty and service package would be comprehensive, with specialists trained specifically on the hybrid or electric powertrain's complexities. The community aspect is also vital. Owners would gain access to exclusive driving events at legendary circuits, immersive driving academies to learn the car's limits in a controlled environment, and a direct line of communication with Lotus's engineering team for feedback. In the broader context of the automotive landscape, the Lotus 2026 stands as a defiant statement. In an era of increasing automation, digital isolation within vehicles, and a move towards SUVs and crossovers, the Lotus 2026 is a passionate, uncompromising commitment to the analog soul of driving, albeit facilitated by digital genius. It is a car that does not seek to isolate its occupant from the experience, but to amplify every sensation. It acknowledges the future with its electrified powertrain and connected technology, but uses these tools not to replace the driver, but to make them more capable, more informed, and more engaged. It is a vehicle that demands participation. It will not flatter a clumsy driver, but in the hands of a skilled pilot, it will deliver a level of communication and satisfaction that is becoming increasingly rare. It is, in essence, the ultimate interpretation of Colin Chapman's philosophy for a new age. A machine where lightness is not just about weight, but about the removal of anything that stands between the human and the horizon, between intention and action. It is a precision instrument for the art of driving, a testament to the idea that even in 2026, the most advanced technology can and should be harnessed to deliver the most fundamentally human of thrills. Its legacy will be measured not just in lap times or horsepower figures, but in the smiles it generates, the visceral connection it fosters, and its unwavering dedication to the belief that in the equation of performance, light is always right. Every rivet, every line of code, every ampere in its battery serves this singular, glorious purpose.